Hi everyone, GM. This is Sam NFT Statistics with your first ever proof daily NFT countdown, bringing you charts, pictures, and stories that we think matter most every single day. Today we have 5 stories for you, starting first with Grant Yoon and 6529 working together on a meme card drop. Here is the image for the meme card. The price is 0.06529. It already has a 1.7 ETH floor, $2 million in this asset. It's only been trading for a couple hours. Total additions are 1420. Why do I think this is important? First is that 6529 meme cards are completely on fire right now. Over the past week, there's been 1,500 ETH of volume. You can see from this chart, that's the most volume that this collection has ever had. And it's not just volume, you're also seeing the prices go higher and higher. This is a chart that looks at the median price of every single card within the collection. Right now they combine for 57 ETH. So just a ton of momentum behind this right now. The other thing, and I will talk about this in a soon to be episode, Grant Yoon, his work is completely on fire as well. Just a ton of momentum. I always say that NFTs are momentum assets. 6529 meme cards, Grant Yoon, both just huge momentum behind both. Not surprising to see this combination do really, really well in the first few hours of trading. Second story, a Spirit Azuki sells for 160 ETH. Now at some level, this isn't that huge of a story anymore because Spirit Azukis have already established themselves as one of the absolute top grail NFTs. If you look at this chart here, you can see that year to date, just in 2023, we're 10 days in, there have already been 10 Azuki sales at 100 ETH or higher. That is the second highest of any NFT project. Bored Ape Yacht Club with 18, Azuki at 10, CryptoPunks at 5, and Art Blocks at 2. Now, one interesting question. Why did this Spirit sell for 160 ETH when there have been a bunch of Spirit Azuki sales for over 200 ETH already this week? And the answer is that male and female Azukis are trading at very different prices, especially at the Spirit level. If you look at this chart, this is all the 100 plus ETH sales year to date. You can see that all the males in blue here have been at 200 ETH or higher, whereas the females have been in the 100 to 200 ETH. I just tell you what the stats are. This is something that's going on in that collection. Interesting to watch. That was the second story. The third is that a punk traded yesterday for 3 Wolfgame land plots. Seed Phrase sold one of his punks for 3 Wolfgame land plots. The more I dug into this story, the more interesting it got. First of all, it wasn't just any punk. This was a 1 attribute punk, which our friends at Deep NFT Value, Nikolai over there, his Oracle values it around 85 ETH. So it was pretty well above floor. The punk floor is like at 65. So this was an above floor punk. Seed Phrase here tweeted, "Call me crazy. I've just traded a punk for 3 Wolfgame lands. I'm hooked on this game right now." So I dug a little bit further. And what's really interesting is that Bulkus.eth, who was the person who did the trade, who got the punk, bought the plots of land that he sold for 2 ETH just 5 days before doing the trade. And he wrote a long thread here about how he turned 2 ETH into an 85 ETH asset in less than a week. Now, one of my main takeaways was that it is a deeply confusing game. I mean, he talks about water and taxes and all the different communities and the different groups. So this is a game where you have to be deep in the weeds, but knowing that, he created some strategy that gave him more access to water, something related to taxes, wrote a thread about it, spoke with Seed Phrase, and Seed Phrase wanted it very, very quickly. So super interesting. Now, one of the big takeaways for me, and Cyrus talked about this on the podcast I did with him, EB7 will say the same thing. If you are starting with not that much ETH and you want to build wealth in NFTs, the way to do it is to build deep expertise in a single liquid collection. Okay, for Cyrus, it was Mutants. For this trader, clearly Wolfgame is a great place where you can build a ton of expertise and trade up your NFTs. So I think that that's just an overall strategy that tends to work really well for people with small bags who wanna build wealth in this game. Story number 4 is that we have catalysts ahead for Bored Ape Yacht Club and Mutant Hounds. Now, the Bored Ape Yacht Club catalyst, I think everybody knows about. They've talked for a while about this upcoming mint. If you look at their website, you can see that January 11th, that is where they're going to reveal the details that allow people to have a sense of what this mint is going to be all about. I think there's a lot of unknowns here. We don't know exactly what this mint really means and how it's going to be different. If you look at this chart though, This chart looks at the price of Bored Ape Yacht Club, along with every single airdrop a Bored Ape Yacht Club has received since mint. You can see that we're on a pretty massive bull run. We're up something like 70% in this full collection in the past 2 months. If you actually remove that period in mid-May where other deed lands and there was a ton of pump around other deed lands, this collection is almost back to its all-time high in ETH terms. So this will be really, really interesting to watch to see how it plays out. The other upcoming catalyst is the Mutant Hounds reveal is today. Why is this important? Mutant Hounds are also just completely on fire. The floor was at 0.32 less than a month ago. Right now we're around 0.1 or 1.7, 1.8. So Mutant Hounds have 6x'd in the past month. I thought this was interesting. I didn't run this data, but I thought this tweet was pretty interesting. It says that Mutant Hounds collars have actually had the most trades post the day of mint of pretty much any major collection ever, other than Moonbird and Doodles. So there have been 8,000 trades in this over the past 19 days. I actually think they block Blur. So it hasn't even just been about the Blur airdrop farming. There's just been a ton of interest, a ton of demand for this project. So I'm very curious to see how the reveal will go. Another one of my rules, or not rules, but trends I very often see is that NFTs are often a buy the rumor, sell the news asset. So who knows, never bet against Yuga. This Mutant Hounds thing seems like it just has a ton of tailwind, but very interested to see how this plays out over the coming 24 hours. And then the last story, 76.5 ETH raised to return Novo's punk to Novo. Now to put a little bit of background around this, who is Novo? This is the punk, one of the many punks that Novo owns. He's an old school OG crypto punk owner, trader, etc. But he built his entire online and in real life identity around this punk. And I remember seeing times where NFTs were in a deep bear market. You would still see Novo at conferences, at events, completely dressed like this punk, always in good spirits, completely representing. He even built a screen that you can see there, where like a screen where he showed this punk, you know, kind of maintained his anonymity and totally kept that identity. Tragedy hit a little less than a week ago. He got hacked. And we think it was from a Discord group that got hacked. He lost not just this punk, but over $1 million of NFTs. There were a couple other very valuable punks that were stolen, as well as clones and Meebits and other assets. He later said that all of this energy and this tragedy that hit him had led him to need to go to the hospital because his mental health was really, really struggling. Now, the reason I wanted to tell this story is because the punk community and the NFT community, who just saw this person there for NFTs for so long, decided to rally together and build a bunch of NFTs that they could sell for 0.04 ETH, little amounts that if enough people bought, everyone wanted to get enough ETH together to return Novo his punk. It cost 76.5 ETH. That was what it was bought from the hacker for. So here you can see a punk who made these NFTs that were being sold. People sold pixels of Novo's NFT, each for 0.04 ETH. And yesterday, 76.5 ETH, more than that, was raised to get Novo back his punk. Does this solve everything? No, he lost a ton of money. This is just one of his punks, but his identity does come back. Is this sustainable? It's probably not sustainable to find ways to get everybody everything back that gets stolen. But in an industry where I find people make fun of people who are victims of hacks, where we victim blame, where we don't always treat people very well, I thought this was amazing to see hundreds of people rally for someone who's always been there for the community and do what because someone who's really, really struggling right now, and do what everyone could to at least create some sunshine in there, to create some positive energy and get him back the punk that has entirely defined his identity. So I thought that was really, really cool. Those are the 5 stories for today. We'll be back every single day. I'm not sure they'll always be this long. I'm not sure there'll always be this many charts, but there are 3 to 5 stories every single day. What did you think? What do you think of this format? Tell us in the comments. We'd love to hear more, and I will see you again tomorrow.